The mystery of migration. You probably think about birds when you think about migration, the seasonal movement of animals from one region to another. Most of us have seen and heard geese overhead and have noticed when the hummingbirds stop coming to our gardens in the fall. Mammals, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and even insects migrate. Deer and bats are examples of mammals that migrate too. Snakes migrate in the fall, and frogs migrate in spring to look for a place to lay their eggs. Some species of dragonfly migrate down the coastal areas of the Pacific, and most monarch butterflies travel across North America to spend the winter in Mexico. Of all the migratory species, perhaps it is the monarch butterfly whose migration is the most mysterious. No single butterfly has ever made the whole trip of up to 4,750 kilometers because the time it takes to make the journey is longer than the insect's lifespan. Instead, the female lays eggs on the journey, and from these eggs comes the next generation of monarchs. The butterfly lives on a diet of the milkweed plant, poisonous to some animals, but not to the monarchs. Sadly, the monarch population has fallen dramatically because of the disappearance of milkweed. Figures show that the number of monarch butterflies from the western U.S. has been falling since the 1980s to dangerous levels. In 2019, an increase in the number of monarchs was taken as a positive sign, but scientists warn that climate change and warmer temperatures make it unlikely an increase in population will continue. Scientists had been asking themselves questions about the butterfly's migration for many years, but hadn't found a logical, scientific explanation. How did the butterflies travel so far without getting lost? How did they know when to start on their journey? What was happening inside their bodies when they were migrating? Butterfly migration seemed to be one of life's great mysteries. Now, scientists believe they may have solved the mystery. They have discovered a compass in the butterfly's brains, which gives them two pieces of basic information: the time of day and the sun's position. The butterflies combine that information to find the right direction. Their eyes follow the sun, and their antennae pick up details about their environment. These signals to the brain tell the butterflies to travel north or south.
Good afternoon. Our topic today is mysteries in nature. Everyone loves a good mystery, right? People spend hours together on social media discussing mysterious phenomena in nature. Is the government doing secret experiments that cause those northern lights? Are they caused by aliens trying to communicate with us? Unfortunately for you future scientists, most of nature's mysteries have scientific explanations, so you won't be able to have fun imagining amazing alien communications or whatever. Let's start with the northern lights, or aurora borealis. This phenomenon also happens in the southern hemisphere, where it's called aurora australis. As the sun's temperature changes, small particles escape from the sun's surface and become solar winds. These solar winds travel toward Earth, and when the particles mix with gases such as oxygen and nitrogen in the Earth's atmosphere, they produce beautiful colored lights. The next picture is of a small, square white rock with a long, thin dirt trail behind it, showing that the rock is moved. Did a person or an animal move it? There are many rocks with trails behind them in this area of Death Valley, California, and how they moved was a mystery until geologists discovered the answer. When it rains, the wet dirt becomes very slippery. Strong winds blow, and the rocks slide on the ground and leave a trail behind them. Finally, the amazing big pink salt lake in the last picture is on an island off the coast of Australia. Some people think the lake must be polluted with some kind of chemical that causes the pink color. However, the color is caused by a type of algae and a type of bacteria that grow in the water, and they are not dangerous to humans or other forms of life. So, I'm sorry to say that none of these amazing phenomena are caused by aliens or secret experiments. It's all just science. There is one more thing I should mention. Not all of these interesting phenomena are easy to see. The auroras are visible from many different places, but you'll need some luck to see them. Sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't. Tourism to Death Valley is not limited, but it is difficult to get to the area of the moving rocks because driving on the dirt surface is prohibited. You have to park in a parking lot and walk about a half a mile to see the rocks. Visiting Lake Hillier is a little more difficult. It is not easy to get to the island, and most visitors book a tour with a tour guide. There are now signs and barriers to keep people from swimming in the lake because sunscreen and other oils can damage the algae and bacteria that create the pink color. We have to find the right balance between letting people enjoy amazing natural phenomena and protecting them. Okay, that's it for today. Please read Chapter 4 for next Wednesday.
Hello and welcome to Engineering World. Today I'm talking to Zoe Robertson, who is an engineer. We're talking about the ancient Egyptian pyramids. Zoe, welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
As an engineer, what can you tell us about the pyramids?
The pyramids were impressive places that held the bodies of pharaohs that died, and they are also amazing engineering achievements. First of all, they are big. The largest pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Giza, was 147 meters tall when it was built in 2250 BCE. In fact, the Great Pyramid of Giza was the tallest building in the world for over 3,800 years. The pyramids were built so that the positions of the pyramids point exactly north to south. We think the ancient Egyptians used the stars to decide where to position the pyramids. We also think they created an outline on the ground to show exactly where to place the pyramids.
So, how did they build the pyramids so high?
Scientists have analyzed the evidence, and we still aren't sure exactly how the Egyptians built them. We know that they used huge, heavy stone blocks that weighed over 2 tons each. The blocks had to be transported to the site, and then each block had to be lifted into position. Remember that the Egyptians didn't have any iron tools at that time. They didn't have the wheel, and scientists estimate that there are 2.3 million blocks that had to be transported for the Great Pyramid.
Have people proposed any theories as to how they moved the blocks?
Oh, yes. Scientists have reached the conclusion that around 20,000 men built the Great Pyramid. They worked in large teams. We think they poured water on the sand to make it easier to move the blocks of stone. And we think they pulled the stones using long ropes. We're still not sure how they got the huge stones up to the top of the pyramid.
So how were the men able to pull such heavy blocks?
We think they used ramps. They made ramps out of sand so they could slide the stones up. They put the block of stone on a wooden sled. Then the men pulled up on long ropes to slide the stone blocks up the ramp. They used a low ramp with an incline of 10%. That means it goes 1 meter up for every 10 meters it goes forward. It would still be very hard to get stone blocks to the top of a pyramid with a 10% incline.
So how did they get the stone blocks to the top?
Archaeologists recently discovered a ramp with large holes at the sides. They think these holes had large wooden poles in them. They could put a rope around the wooden poles and around the block of stone. That means you can have 2 groups of men. The ones at the top pull up, and the ones at the bottom pull down. That gives you more power.
How does that help?
It means you can have a higher incline. Instead of an incline of 10%, you can have 20%. That makes it more realistic that you can get to the top of the pyramid with this method. We can't prove the idea, but it's certainly possible. There are more than 100 pyramids in Egypt, so using this method to build all of them is truly incredible.
Zoe, thanks for joining us on Engineering World.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to It's Your Business. I'm Mark Mason, and my guests are Sam and Molly Carter and their daughter Lydia and son Alan. They have a successful business called Cupcake Creations. You can see a few of their beautiful, delicious cupcakes on their website. Okay, Carter family, tell our listeners about your business. First, why cupcakes?
Well, we talked about several different types of businesses and finally chose cupcakes because, to be honest, we all love cake. Also, there were very few places in town to get decorated cupcakes, so we thought it was a good idea.
So who does what?
Well, when we first set up the business, Molly was pretty much doing everything, but then I decided to bake full-time. I took over the baking because I love creating new recipes. Lydia has a degree in design, so she decorates the cupcakes. Each cupcake is a work of art. She's also very good at baking, so she sometimes fills in for me when I get tired. I'm afraid I'm getting older, and I need a little rest sometimes.
What about the business side? Who manages things like finances and advertising?
Molly and Alan do. I have little knowledge of accounting, but Molly is good at it, so she does that. Alan studied marketing and advertising, so he manages those things. Right now, he's working on a new design for our website.
That sounds like a good system. So, what are your best-selling cupcakes?
People love to order cupcakes for parties, so we get a lot of orders for holiday themes like Halloween or New Year's, and also for birthdays. We sold out of our Halloween cupcakes in 3 hours last year. Amazingly, a lot of people are choosing to have cupcakes instead of large cakes for their weddings, so we do quite a few wedding cupcakes too.
Well, you have a very successful family business. What tips can you give to people who might want to start their own family business?
First, you have to communicate honestly with each other. Sometimes that's hard for friends or family members, but it's necessary. For example, Alan and I manage the business, but we run every decision by Sam and Lydia. If you ask me, good communication is the most important factor.
That's right. Another thing that's important is to treat other employees the same way you treat your family members in your business. We have several people in the company who are not family members, and they have no doubt that they're treated equally.
In a family business, it's easy for parents to think of younger family members as kids, but we're part of the company too. It's important for the older generation to listen to the ideas of the younger people in the company, both family members and other employees. Our parents are great about that, and actually, Alan and I have some pretty good ideas.
It's definitely very important to make a plan for when the older people in the business retire. If the kids take on responsibilities from the beginning, they'll be able to take over when their parents retire. Lydia and I want to keep the business going.
It's also really important to create goals and objectives. If you want to get ahead, you have to work hard, and everyone will do that if they share the same goals.
Finally, the truth is, having your own business is very hard work. If you're going to start a business, you have to love what you're doing. I have the perfect job because I get to work with people I love, and I get to eat all the delicious cupcakes I want.
Management styles in the 21st century. In the past, almost all companies had a traditional management structure. This basically meant that the decision-making was done by the managers, and the employees were told what to do. This structure worked very well in companies where there were very clear differences in skills between managers and workers. But in modern companies, the differences are often not as clear. Employees often have a lot of experience and knowledge in their field, and they have excellent thinking skills. Many are good at problem solving and are very creative. Quite a few companies, and even whole industries, still use a traditional management structure, but many companies are changing to a more collaborative management style. In a traditional management structure, company executives work alone or with each other to solve problems and make decisions. The employees under them then have to carry out those decisions, and they are not allowed to question the decisions very often. Employees are given only as much information as they need to do their specific jobs. Managers often don't let their employees make suggestions. Employees are required to follow very clear rules about everything from their roles and responsibilities to office hours to dress codes. In a collaborative management structure, the workplace is very different. There are still managers, but the office culture is based more on cooperation and individual responsibility. Managers think the employees under them should participate in problem-solving and decision-making. There is a high level of information sharing. Teamwork is important, and employees are encouraged to offer ideas and suggestions. Rules are often more flexible. Employees don't have to follow strict dress codes, and sometimes office hours are flexible. There are pros and cons to both business models. Decision-making is faster when only a few people are involved, and managers often have more experience and knowledge than other employees. However, involving more people means there are more ideas to choose from, and younger employees may have new, fresh ideas. If a lot of information is shared with employees, they might leave the company and give information to competitors, so it may be safer for only a few people to have it. However, having more information about the company may help employees do their work more effectively. Strict rules can create a professional, productive atmosphere in a company, and many people like knowing exactly what they are supposed to do and what the rules are. Other people work better in a more collaborative environment. They feel more motivated if they think the company values their knowledge and ideas. One of the most important decisions that companies have to make in the 21st century is which management style will work best for their type of business and for their employees. In some cases, it is possible to have a combination of traditional and non-traditional characteristics so that employees can choose how they want to work that best fits the situation.
Today on Work It Out, we are talking about traditional and non-traditional working environments. My panelists are Gavin Newton, who works in the high-tech industry, and Deborah Randall, who works in finance. Okay, let's get to work. I would like for each of you to describe your working environment and the skills you need at your job. You can also comment on what you feel are the pros and cons of your office culture. Gavin?
Thanks, Susan. I work at a large tech company in Los Angeles. We work under a lot of pressure, and we're required to be very creative because there's a lot of competition in software development. A lot of high-tech companies have changed the way offices look and function to support creativity.
Okay, tell us about the office building you work in.
Sure. Our offices are non-traditional. First, nobody has a private office, not even the executives. There are conference rooms where people can have meetings, but no offices. In fact, we don't even have our own desks or workstations. The idea is that people get bored and are less creative if they always sit in the same place all day, every day. There are desks, so we can use a desk if we want to, or we can sit at a table in the office cafe, or lie on a sofa and work on our laptops.
Wow, that's amazing! I can't imagine lying on a sofa at work.
Yeah, it's different for sure. Also, the office has a lot of bright colors, and there's a rec room with things like ping pong tables and dominoes so that we can take breaks and relax our minds a little. There's even a room where people can take a nap if they get tired. The work is really intense, so sometimes a nap is necessary.
And can you wear anything you want?
Sure. Most people wear jeans, t-shirts, and sneakers. Some of the execs dress up a little more if they have meetings with clients, I guess, but really nobody wears suits and ties.
And does everybody work the same hours, or is the schedule pretty flexible?
The execs usually work 9 to 5, but the techies not so much. Some employees work on a flexible schedule, which means that people start and finish work at different times of the day. For example, I work better in the evening, so I work from 1 to 9 p.m. Actually, we have a few people who don't live in the area, so they work remotely from their homes. We all work a lot of overtime, especially when we have a big project. We have to be able to manage our time very well, because even though the offices are informal and the work hours are flexible, we still have to meet strict deadlines.
Deborah, you work in finance, so I imagine your working environment is a little more traditional than Gavin's.
Yeah, you're right. Our office has lots of workstations in the middle and executive offices and conference rooms around the sides. Everybody has a desk with a desktop computer. The colors are mostly beige and gray. We do have a cafe, but it's nothing fancy. Sandwiches and salads.
What about the hours?
Everyone works 9 to 5, although we sometimes have to work overtime. Knowing how to manage your time is very important because we have a set schedule and things need to get done before the end of the day. Let's see. Oh yeah, dress codes. We have to wear traditional office clothes except on casual Fridays when we can wear jeans. And we definitely don't have ping pong tables or nap rooms.
What do you both think is good and bad about your working environments?
Well, I think in finance, clients expect us to look and act serious and professional, so I think our dress code is necessary. However, I think it's true that people get bored and tired always working in the same place, at the exact same time every day. In a traditional workplace, it's definitely a plus if you like the same work routine.
I think a lot of young people want more variety in their working day. We're encouraged to be as creative as we can be, and we need an environment that helps us do that. Nobody can be creative if they have to wear and do the same things every day. That said, I think some people probably spend more time in the nap room than on their computers.
Yes, there are always pros and cons to any work environment, I guess. Thanks to you both for sharing your ideas with us.
Good morning, listeners. Welcome to this morning's show with me, Lucy French. To start the show, we thought we'd take some calls on the topic of interesting foods and dining customs around the world. Have you ever visited a place and discovered some amazing or unusual food items? Or perhaps you have some interesting food stories from your own culture that you'd like to share. Give us a call, send us an email or a text, and let us know. So, our first caller this morning is Greg from Austin. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Lucy.
So, Greg, what interesting foods or eating customs would you like to share?
Well, I lived and worked in Ethiopia for 6 years. That was plenty of time to get used to the food and learn about some of the different traditions they have.
I'm interested to know what Ethiopian food is like.
Well, it's like a lot of the food of Africa, actually. Lots of thick, spicy vegetable or meat dishes that are served on injera, a type of large, flat bread. Most people don't use cutlery or knives and forks. They eat with their hand. Always the right hand, by the way, because the left hand is considered unclean. They pick the food up with the bread. It looked impossible at first, but once I got used to it, it was easy. It makes eating feel more informal and relaxed, and I like that.
And did anything surprise you about the food?
Nothing really about the food. People eat fairly similar things to us, rice, lentils, meat, and snacks like popcorn, nuts, and dried fruit. I stopped eating meat about 10 years ago, and I thought it might be difficult to find things to eat. But I was incorrect on that point. Many Ethiopians are vegetarians for religious reasons.
Yes, that's very common across different cultures, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. I remember being surprised by one interesting tradition. I went to a family meal at a friend's house, and the family did what they call gursha.
What's that?
It's feeding someone else with your hands. It's a typical act of hospitality to show someone that you like and trust them. It's very impolite if you refuse. I'll never forget feeling uncomfortable, but as we went on feeding each other, I got used to it. It felt unnatural, but I think the most important thing is to remember to respect this tradition and to adapt to it. It's about appreciating different ways of doing things, I guess.
Sure. Well, Greg, it sounds like Ethiopia was an interesting place. I hope you stopped to appreciate your experience there.
I did, but I was so busy working I didn't have enough time. It's only now I'm back home that I can fully appreciate it. I really loved it. In fact, I went on to write a blog about living there. It was an unbelievable experience.
Well, thanks for sharing, Greg. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Listeners, don't forget to call us with your food stories from around the world. Now let's listen to our next caller on line 1.
July 28th. Fernanda and a few of the other students went to the beach after class and invited me to come along. Everyone was really friendly and relaxed, and they showed me how to play beach volleyball. I wasn't very good, but it was a lot of fun. They've promised to take me to see my first football or soccer match next week. I'm looking forward to hanging out with them. There's a real sense of cultural diversity here. It makes the place feel really exciting. I love it so far. The only thing that feels different is that people are very comfortable kissing and hugging one another when they meet. I don't mind it, but it might take some people a while to get used to it. August 1st. The family I'm staying with is really nice. They've made me feel really welcome. Maria, the mom, is a fantastic cook. She makes the most delicious pão de queijo, which is a type of cheese bread snack. I'm a little homesick today. I'm not used to being away from home. I spoke to Mom and Dad tonight, and that made me feel a lot more upbeat. I was relieved to learn they were all okay and managing without me. Keeping this diary is useful. It's good to put my feelings down. August 18th. I'm feeling exhausted today. Back home, we have 10 to 15 hours of classes per week. Here, it's more like 20 to 25 hours, and we're expected to study in the evenings as well. It's taken me the last 3 weeks to get used to the hours. Most of my classmates are very focused and hardworking. I'm used to things being more laid back, but that's good for me, I guess. I'm determined to pass the final exams. August 20th. My Portuguese is definitely improving. I wasn't accustomed to using it so much, and I felt self-conscious speaking at first. But I'm more confident now, and I'm used to asking people to speak more slowly so that I can understand them. It definitely helps to be staying with a host family that doesn't speak very much English. I've also been watching Brazilian TV shows and listening to Portuguese podcasts. It really helps with my understanding. August 22nd. I'm feeling like I fit in even when life is stressful. Public transportation is cheap, so the bus is the best way to get to class. Still, traffic is always heavy and it's a slow ride. I got really frustrated this morning because the bus was so full that I couldn't get on. I was late for class. On the positive side, I'm getting used to being in Rio. I actually like exploring new neighborhoods. I'm enjoying eating out, too. It's cheaper than in the U.S., and the food is delicious. I'm used to eating dinner earlier, though. Back in the U.S., we usually eat our evening meal around 6:30. Here, it's around 8 p.m.
It would be almost impossible in my industry not to work with people from different countries. I mean, that's what we do. We deal with tourists, international visitors, conference meeting guests. It's all in a day's work for us. And that's what I love about the job. As the resort manager, I have to meet the needs of people from all over the world, and I rely on my staff who comes from all over the world to do that job to the best of their ability. It's a very culturally diverse industry, and that's why the job appealed to me in the first place. I like to think I'm good at concentrating on the similarities we have as people, wherever we come from in the world.
Working in this place is fantastic for meeting people from other countries. And I guess that's why I wanted to take a year off and travel. I've met people from Thailand, Peru, Canada, the US, all while working in cafes and restaurants. You have to allow for communication problems when people are speaking different languages in the kitchen, but there are real advantages to working with people from different cultures. I come from a small town, so it was important for me to travel and meet people who might have different ideas or lifestyles. I'm really interested in sharing ideas with other people and finding out what we have in common.
At the university where I work in Toronto, I'd say that about 45% of our students come from abroad to study. It's a big benefit for a number of reasons. A recent study from Columbia Business School found something really interesting. The study measured the creativity of a group of students at the start and end of the semester. It found a connection between higher creativity and students who had relationships or friendships with people from different cultures. I'm not going to argue with that. Look at me. My parents are Turkish, I was born in Canada, and I married a woman from Norway.
It's hard to imagine not working with people from around the world these days, really. Working with a diverse group of people is one way of developing innovative ideas. And certainly, having a knowledge of the local market can make a business like ours more competitive. In fact, my company has to follow strict rules about employing people from different countries and cultures. Everyone is connected to everyone else through the internet, and it feels like there's a global culture among my generation. That's why working in my profession, creating TV commercials, is so interesting. The only thing we complain about in the Washington office is that the different time zones around the world make it hard to organize meetings between everyone.